everyone, this is Yvonne from Yvonne Ceramics. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make buttons. So there will be a couple of different style of buttons. So for example, these ones here, these are made using cookie cutters with textures stamped on them. And then another type would be like these ones here, using silicone mold to press the clay in to make these cute ones. And then there's also these ones, also using pressed mold to create these flower shaped buttons. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos each week. To start our project, we need to have a slab of clay. I am using the white stoneware mid-range clay. So I have already rolled out my slab to 1/4 inch. We don't need a lot of clay for this project because our buttons are very small. So after you roll out your clay, you want to smooth out any patterns or any wrinkles that is on the surface of the clay. And after you smooth that out, you can prepare your cutters. So I have a number of cutters here. I have a circle, heart, flower, and a star. So because these are functional buttons, you don't want to have shapes that are too irregular because it might break more easily. But then the star is actually okay. It's not too sharp on the edge. You want something small, like this one, a heart. This flower might be a little bit too big, but we'll just try a few of the flowers to see how it will be at the end. I also have some stamps here, so this one fits perfectly with the circle. I also have some silicone mold that you can put some clay on and then pop it out as a button. So before I put the cutters on, I need to put a saran wrap. So the reason why I'm putting my saran wrap on top of the clay is so that the clay doesn't stick onto my cutter and I can keep using it. And also the edge will be round. And so you want to have a couple of them. So I'll be selling these buttons, so I want to make sure, let's say I'm selling a set of 2 or 4s, because these buttons are for people who use them for sewing, so you want to sell them as a set. And just so to remind you, even though the circle looks quite big right now, it will shrink. My clay will shrink 12%. So it will shrink a little bit after both firing. So I think this would be a good size. You don't want it to be too small. So after the circle's done, let's start with the flower. So I removed the saran wrap, and this is what it looks like. Now we need to carefully remove the clay. So if you cut through, it should remove quite easily. So how you can decorate the buttons are, you could either paint them with underglaze, or after bus firing you can glaze them with different colors. Or if you want some texture, you'll need to do that now. So for me, I've got this really cute paw mark, so I'm going to put that on some of my circle ones. I need to make sure that it is centered when I put them like that. So it's not very easy to see, so you can see it here. So I might put that even a deeper impression. Like that. much butter. So I'll do a couple more. If you don't have any stamps at home, you can also use whatever tools you can find at home. For example, here I have this tool. I can use the end here to make the middle of a flower. Just press it down like that, and then use this end to go around the circle. And then you can do more patterns. I could do another round circle. Like so. I can also do, let's see, I have a needle tool. I can also do, let's say, lines. Do it on this one here. I can just put lines like that. Okay, so I got some lines. You can even add little dots in it to make more texture. So these ones with the texture, I'll probably glaze it with the silicone glaze. So for the heart shape, I also want to create some patterns so it's not boring. So I have a heart rubber stamp here. I'm going to put that in the middle. That's one way to do it. And then I think I'll decorate it with dots around it. And then another way I can decorate it is I can just put like lots of dots all over the button. For the stars, I don't have any star stamps, so I'm just using a wooden flat tool and pressing line towards each point. Okay, like that. You can also put dots on it. And for this one, I can just do a small line. Like that. For the flowers, I'm not very good with making patterns, so I got these silicone pattern maker for the flowers. So that's actually my first time trying it. So let's try to line this up. Doesn't quite line up right, but let's try it together. And then I'm supposed to just press this down like that, I guess. And then when I open it, I guess it will have a flower pattern. Wow, that actually looked really good, right? Let's see the back side. Okay, to be careful. Oh, the
backside look really nice too. Okay, and then I've got another one here. This is a different pattern, so let me just get another one out. Okay, let's put this on like that and then press it down. Then pin it. Okay, this one's not bad. Okay, this one's okay too. I think I like the other one better. This one. So the next thing is, after you finish doing your texture, is to poke the holes on these buttons, because we need to have the holes in order to sew them onto the clothes. So I have my needle tool here, and I'm just going to poke through right here and here, like that. And then if you flip over, it doesn't quite go so well, so you want to make sure to remove any clay that is plugging the hole. So you want to make sure that there's a nice clean hole. You can even move the needle tool a little bit around to make sure that the hole is big enough. Okay, let me try with a simpler shape, like a heart shape here. So because the heart shape is so small, my holes will be a little bit closer together. So I'm moving it around to make the hole a little bit bigger. You can see this one is a little bit bigger than this one, so I'm gonna go back in, move this to make it a little bit bigger, because it will shrink right with the clay. So now on the back, I want to remove some of these clay to make sure that the hole is big enough. Then I want to go back in here and make sure the hole is good, like that. Then the next part is, even though we use saran wrap to cut around our shape, there will be, if you see the edge here, it's still not quite smooth. So I'm using my paintbrush with a little bit of water, and I'm just going to go in and smooth out those edges. Like so. Smooth that out, and the back as well. Then you can put that aside. The next type of buttons, it will be using the silicone molds. So if you look at this one here, some of them would not be suitable for buttons, such as this one here, because it has a long thin stem, or this one, or this one, or this one. So these are not very good for buttons. So this one, or this one, and this one would be good for buttons. So we can try these ones. This one we can try, maybe this one, and this one, and this one. These ones, because it's so thin, the tails are so thin that it could break off. So we need to think about if it's functional. These ones, all three of the bees, they would be good because they are not very thin. So what I have is some little bit of clay, so I will just roll it into a ball first, and then I will push it into the bee. And then I'm just using my thumb to smooth out the backing here. let's do some more. I'm gonna do this one now. So push the clay in and then using your fingers to wipe off the excess. Okay. I just want to smooth out the back right now. The back of button has to be pretty too. Just smooth that out. Okay, so now I'm just gonna pop that out. So there's my button. And let's pop this one out as well. So now you can smooth out any wrinkles, and for example here, some of the wrinkles, I can smooth that out. Or I can use a paintbrush to do so. But let's get my needle tool and poke the hole. So for this one here, I'm going to poke the hole right here. Wiggle it to make the holes bigger, and here. And then flip it to the back, using a knife to clean up the back. And then using my needle tool to clear out the hole here. I want to show you the buttons that I made using the silicone molds, like these ones. So these are the small buttons with the holes cut out. They look really cute. I didn't cut out these ones because I think the button will be too big, and with a big and flat button, I'm afraid that when the people use it, it will break into half. So I am going to recycle these ones. I'll only keep the small ones. So I unloaded the bisque kiln, and these are just some of the buttons that I want to show you from the bisque kiln. I've got a bunch more, but just to demonstrate, I'm going to just glaze these ones. So remember, these are from the silicone mold, these are from the cutters, and this is just the pressed flower mold. So they all turned out really well. For glazing, I am going to use the Amaco Celadon glazes that I have here. The reason why I'm using the Celadon glazes is because they are very stable, very bright in color, and they don't move, which is perfect for glazing the buttons. So for example, when I'm glazing this one, I don't want the color to bleed or run down the buttons, and I'm going to leave the back unglazed as well. So that's why the Celadon glazes are best. You can also use underglaze and then put a clear coat of glaze on top. That will also be great as well. When I'm glazing, I like to have all my glazes beside me, and also a bucket of water with some sponges in there. For the brushes, because we are glazing small items like these ones, I have picked out some small fine brushes here. And so we're gonna get started. For this bee, I'm going to do a yellow and black. So I'm starting off with yellow first. I'm just going to glaze the head and strips of yellow as well. So make sure you don't glaze to the bottom, because it's gonna lie flat on the kiln shelf, and you don't want it to stick to your kiln shelf. And because I'm doing a yellow and black, it's okay for me to go just a little bit over the line, because the black's gonna cover the yellow. But just try your best to stay in line when you're glazing. And for the Celadon glaze, you want to do about 2 to 3 coats to get saturated color. careful to stay inside the line, kind of like coloring. That's why I like glazing. It's a very meditative and calming. I like to do it on the weekend, on Sunday. Okay, so that's pretty good for my first coat. So I'm going to let it dry, then I'll do the black. So with black, I am using Amaco's silicone glaze as well for the black stripes. I need to be careful. Oops, my paintbrush is wet, so it got into the surrounding area, you can see. So I'm gonna let this dry and then try to fix that. So I used the knife to scrape off the water, the black water that went over to the yellow. So I need to add a little bit more yellow glaze over here later. But let's continue on with our black here. I switched to a different brush because I want it to be dry and doing the fine line here. That's why glazing small object can be quite challenging, is you need to have very steady hand and very fine brush as well. So that's why I often switch to different brushes depending on what I'm glazing. So the bees are all done. So I'm going to set that aside. Next, I'm going to glaze these ones that I made with the cutters, and it has texture on it. So these would look really nice with the silicone glazes. I can glaze the whole thing with just one color, but I think I want to create some interest. So I'm going to do two color, probably like a green on the outside and purple on the inside. I'm going to start with the wasabi glaze, just a nice bright green color. So same thing, you don't want to go like underneath the button, but you can glaze on the side. You just have to be very careful. And to be very careful not to go all the way to the bottom. Kind of like that. And if you did accidentally, or you're not sure if it went to the bottom before you put into the kiln or after you finish glazing, just use a sponge to wipe the bottom. I'll show you in a bit. So I'm going to do just the outside rim of green, and then I'll do purple here. Purple, I'm using lavender. Then I'll keep building on the coats. So I did some glazing on this button, orange and blue on the outside and on the side. As I was telling you, sometimes the glaze did go onto the back here. Not sure if you can see. There's some blue that got onto the back, so I need to clean that up before it goes onto the kiln shelf. So I've got a sponge here. It's been dipped in water, so it's not soaking wet, but it's a little bit damp. So what I do is just kind of wet and clean off the back of the buttons. And while I'm cleaning, I'm also going along the side as well. So as you can see, a little tiny bit of the side is wiped off of glaze, just to make sure that none of the glaze are touching the bottom of the shelf. So that's how I keep the buttons from glued or stuck to the shelf. So make sure you clean the bottom really well. And I also did other glazes as well. This one as well. This one with the star, I only glazed yellow because sometimes it's just nice to have one color buttons as well. So if you're glazing a lot of buttons, it's okay to just have one color. the last button that I'm going to do will be the flowers. I think they are really nice. It has all these texture lines inside the flowers. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two colors. Going to glaze it with purple first, and then I'm going to do honey flux, so that just a little bit along the rim, so that it will move the glaze down a little bit but not too much. So I've got my purple flower and I've got some honey flux here from Potter's Choice. I'm just going to glaze the rim here. So I'm putting the honey flux glaze just on the top side of the petal. I don't want to go to the side of the petal because I don't want it to run down. So just on the top here and a little bit. You don't want to be too much, and then it will run down a little bit. And just for insurance, when I am putting it in the kiln, I'll put a little cookie on the bottom here, just in case if it does run through the buttonholes, it won't ruin my kiln shelf. So that's it for the glazing. I'm going to let them all dry and then put them into the glaze kiln. So I unloaded the kiln. I want to show you the final result of the buttons. So these are the pressed flower buttons. So there's some movements here. These are all done in Armaco celadon glazes. You can see the movements of the glazes that have the honey. I think the honey one was, which one was it? I think it's this one. Has some movement. And then these are the with the silicone mold. Yes. You can see the different beads. So this one with the more pale color is using just celadon glazes, and this one with underglaze and then a clear coat on it. So the celadon glazes are more pale pastel colored, and then these ones are the cutout using the different various cookie cutters. So this one using underglaze, dark underglaze, and then a clear green celadon glaze on top. And these are all the various celadon glazes, very pastel, beautiful color. I love the ones that have texture, such as this one here. You can really see that where this texture is the darker color. I like the variation in color here. And so these are the buttons. I think they're really fun to make. And so that's it for today's tutorial. Thank you everyone for watching. See you guys next time. Bye bye.